Yo guys, what's going on? Wanted to answer a few questions about the overtraining debate that came up between me and Jimmy and Leo. And I do this in seriousness. I have three clips here. I just Googled or YouTubed overtraining, just typed that in. Three of the first clips that popped up. And fortunately, we kind of have almost Jimmy, Leo's, and my take on the issue. These three guys kind of give what I feel is relevant to each of us, almost our position. So I'm going to start off here with this first guy who he's known as a skinny guy savior. He has a show on YouTube and a training manual. And his argument is that overtraining is a myth and virtually impossible. So kind of taking Jimmy's position. So let's hear him out.
Let me tell you guys something about overtraining. I'm going to actually post a link to an article I wrote on one of the biggest muscle building mistakes of all time. And it's what I call undertraining syndrome. So most guys will never ever experience what the true scientific definition of overtraining really is. To actually overtrain, you need to get this. This is going to blow you away. You need to triple your current volume for 3 weeks. Think about that. What you're doing now during the week, you need to triple that. And then not do it 1 week, but do it 2 weeks and then a third week. That's the only way you'll even get close to the state of overtraining. So I would say 99.9% of the people watching this show will never in their life even come close to overtraining. Will you overreach? Absolutely. So I just wanted to share that answer in context of the topic of overtraining so you guys can throw that fear out the window. So let's start the clock.
So basically his position there is overtraining is a myth. You have to increase it by 3 times your current intensity level. The problem is, if you notice, he never defines what intensity level is. I mean, obviously everybody has a different intensity level. And so if you have to triple your intensity level, if I'm sitting on the couch watching TV and triple my intensity level, I'm probably not going to overtrain. If I'm hitting the gym 3 hours a day and then triple my intensity level, now that's a different story. So the problem here is with what he is saying, though it sounded intelligent, it sounded good, is ultimately he never defines what the starting intensity should be or why 3 times that would cause overtraining. So he just kind of throws terms out there, never defines how or why or any really scientific reason other than some jargon that he feels sounds good. So he's a pretty muscular guy, pretty fit, but we would have to see more evidence of what he's saying here than just him throwing out there blanket terms. But anyway, let's go to the second guy now. This is kind of the this guy kind of reminds me of Leo here. Kind of built like him a little bit and everything. So let's see what this homie has to say. And here we go.
The fear of overtraining is one of the most pervasive factors in the gym, preventing guys from seeing results. Kind of like using a Bosu ball or using a Smith machine. But what if I was to tell you that most of the people who claim that they're being overtrained aren't actually overtrained at all? That in fact, if anything, they might be under-recovered. And those who profess to be afflicted with said malaise, it's largely fabricated. Just like 3-minute abs or the NASA moon landing. Hey, have you been talking shit about the moon landing? 'Cause that shit was real, fucker. That shit ain't funny. Here's a pearl of wisdom for you. The more you can train without exceeding your capacity to recover, the bigger and stronger you'll get. I'm going to repeat that again because it's super important. The more you can train without exceeding your capacity to recover, the stronger and bigger you'll get. Let's break down that first part. The more times you train, the more opportunities you give your nervous system to adapt. This in turn will lead to greater neural efficiency, more muscular recruitment of muscle fibers, so gaining more muscle, and more strength. Now this training more...
So as you could tell, he's kind of hard to watch, He's kind of annoying. Not that Leo is, but, he calls himself Chef Buff. Kind of has that Leo-type muscular, bulky build, But he just goes into talking about more of his training style here, so we don't really need to show anymore. But he agrees with the first guy. He agrees with Leo. He agrees with Jimmy here. Overtraining is a myth. But if you notice, his definition, in fact, was actually something that I would say, that overtraining is, going past your capacity of recovery. So he says overtraining, you don't have to worry about overtraining. You have to worry about under-recovering. They're the same thing. I don't know if he catches that. I mean, that's ultimately what overtraining is, either working out too long or working out too soon. They're one and the same thing. So ultimately, unless you're fully recovered, I'm saying, then you're going to be overtraining, whether that's working out too often or too hard. And both can lead to overtraining. So the idea here of him saying overtraining is a myth, it's under recovery you have to worry about, is ultimately him kind of missing, I think, what the bigger argument. This guy is known as Chef Buff. He also has a YouTube channel. The next guy I'm going to show you here is Lee Labrada. He was a professional bodybuilder for many years, owns a nutrition company, and now he's pretty much just a world-class trainer of bodybuilders and stars and people like that. Owns his own fitness club and group and does yearly competitions for people to get into shape. So let's hear what he has to say.
Hi, I'm Lee Labrada for Labrada Nutrition. I'm here today to speak with you about overtraining. I'm often asked, Lee, what is the most common mistake that you see bodybuilders make? And I got to tell you that I have traveled all over the world. I've literally have watched thousands of bodybuilders train. I can tell you that the biggest mistake, bar none, that they make is overtraining. Let's start by defining what is overtraining. Overtraining is simply doing more in the gym than your body has the ability to recover from outside of the gym. And it's outside of the gym that your body grows. It's not inside of the gym. And the reason that I say that is because a lot of times bodybuilders fall into the fallacy of thinking that if 3 sets is good and makes me grow, then 6 sets is even better. I'll grow twice as fast. And nothing could be farther from the truth. Doing too much in the gym just basically sets you up for failure. Your goal from the time that you come into the gym until the time you leave is to tire that muscle out as much as possible, but in as short a time period as possible. That's why training intensity is important, but a little bit more on that later. Let's talk about some of the symptoms of overtraining so that you'll be able to spot those symptoms and know whether you are overtraining. When a person is overtrained, they are chronically sore. Muscles are aching all the time. Sometimes the joints hurt, or you have some kind of an injury that you just kind of nagging and you can't recover from. Also, you're more prone to colds because your immune system is suppressed. And the biggest indicator that you are overtraining is that you are getting weaker, or you're just simply not getting stronger. If you're not progressively getting stronger in the gym, whether using more weight or having more reps, or whether the muscle's developing, then that's a sure sign that you're doing too much, that you're overtraining. Let me use this example. Let's say that you were cooped up all winter and then you decided to get a tan. Summertime rolls around, everybody's going to the beach, and you've decided that you want to get out there as well. On the first day that you go to the beach, obviously you're going to be pretty pale because you've been covered up all winter. Now, if you go out there and you fall asleep in the sun, what happens? You get a sunburn, right? Well, it's the same thing with overtraining. Just like you get a sunburn, that skin turns red and it peels. You don't get tan. You basically get knocked back and you have to start all over again. It's the same thing with overtraining. If you do too much in the gym, then basically it sets you up for failure. You get behind and you don't progress.
So we have 3 views there. We got one from the Jersey Shore looking dude. Overtraining is a myth. You have to increase it 300 times a week. You got the Brutus the Barber Beefcake looking guy, who's also saying overtraining is a myth, though he really doesn't define overtraining correctly. And then you have, Lee Labrada, who is a world-class bodybuilder, and not only that, because some bodybuilders are just genetic freaks, so it doesn't matter how they train, but he's a world-class trainer, supplement manufacturer. The guy's in the business. So ultimately, you can make up your own mind, right? You heard 3 positions. It ultimately comes down to who do you trust? Who is most reputable? Who broke their case down most logically. Obviously I side with Lee. That's why I'm making this short clip here. But if you agree with the first guy, then go for it. To each his own. And as I said, different training methods will produce certain results. But ultimately, my definition really of overtraining is anything more than necessary to induce growth. If I could spend a half hour in the gym and get the same results as spending 3 hours, even if I get the same results, you might say, hey, well, you're not overtrained, because you're still getting results. But my point is anything over the minimum amount necessary to induce growth or make me stronger is a waste of time. So if you just like being at the gym, if you just enjoy the atmosphere and hanging out and being around the people, then fine, and do that approach. Me, I really don't. I like to get in, I like to get out. I don't really have a lot of time. And so, for me, just brief, intense workouts really do the same, if not more, than, and I would actually argue more than the longer ones. But if it's a lifestyle and you like it, more power to you. All right, see you guys soon.